Summer is pretty much here. Kids are out of school and we're getting ready to do our summer bucket list. And as I was doing research, I was having a hard time finding lists with free activities to do. A lot of them said like go to the zoo, go to the movies, go to the aquarium. And since I'm doing a no spend year, that just doesn't quite work. So I've come up with a list of activities that we're going to put on our bucket list, and I thought I would share them with you. So here's a list of summer activities that are outdoors that don't cost anything. First, I'm going to start with one that's really obvious, and that's going to the park. Now, instead of just going to the same park we typically go to, we are going to go to 5 parks we have never been to. This is going to make it a little bit more exciting for the kids. They get a new playground to play on, new adventures to have, learn new things. If you live in a smaller town, this one may be a little more difficult if you don't have that many parks. Maybe you can go to a neighboring city or just make the park that you have in your town a little more exciting. We're going to do a few hikes this summer, and we're not going to do too many because the hikes in our town all look the same. We live in a desert, so they're all sandy, full of tumbleweeds, and the views from the top are just of our town. So it's nothing too exciting for kids. So we'll just do a couple of those this year. We're also going to do some nature trails, and I think we have 1 or 2 in town, and they have a little more like foliage and butterflies and birds and some water running through it. So it's a little more exciting than the hikes. And also we have a few flower gardens in town to visit and look at all the beautiful flowers. So those are a few things we're going to try out. You might have to look in your area to see if you have any of these types of things to do, but they're typically free. Next would be to plant a garden or harvest a garden. This one isn't necessarily free unless you have the seeds, but maybe you know a family member or friend who has one. And for us, the activity is the harvesting part. So our kids love harvesting the fruits and veggies. We just got done with strawberries and snap peas and snow peas, but there's nothing like taking that first tomato, picking that first tomato for kids. They get so excited. Same with, we have bell peppers coming soon, and okra and squashes and pumpkins and so many different things. And you can even do the same thing with flowers. Kids love cutting the flowers off, putting them in water, but that in itself is a really fun outdoor activity for them. Next, we have some DIY projects that we will be doing outside because they're kind of messier. I only have 1 project set so far, but I think I'm going to do a little bit more research into some other ones. And the one I have is a DIY bird feeder. We're just going to take an old toilet paper roll, slather it up in peanut butter, and put some bird seed on it. Super simple. You tie some string on the top and you hang it from a branch outside. Kids love doing DIY things like that. Next we have make popsicles. And this is something I honestly get asked about daily already. And I just keep it super simple with the popsicles. I just put yogurt in them and a few pieces of fruit and freeze them. They're healthy, they're not full of extra sugar, and the kids get to make a mess and enjoy making them outside. The next one is going to yard sales. So with this one, you can do a few things. You can make like a scavenger hunt type thing with your kids, like can you find a spatula? Can you find, things like that to make it more of a game. You can create like a bingo card if you want to out of the items they may see. With our kids, we do spend a little bit of money on this activity. Every time we go yard sailing, we do give our kids 50 cents to spend, and you will be amazed at what people will give little kids with quarters, like nice stuff. I'll be like, oh, you guys can't afford that. And they'll be like, oh, here, you can have it for 25 cents. It's fine, because they think the kids are so cute with their money. But it is also teaching my kids how to spend their money, and they're always allowed to save it for the next time we go yard sailing to have more money. But it's just a great way to get out of the house on a Friday or Saturday morning. Next up, I have a picnic lunch. And you could do this in the backyard, in the front yard, or even at the park, but make it more exciting than the typical lunch they already eat. Put in an extra treat or a food item that they don't typically get to eat as much, and make it exciting. Lay out a blanket, maybe put on some music, play some ball, make it a memorable experience. Now, this next one, I just don't know if they have it in every town, but I'm going to mention it anyway, and that's splash pads. At least in our town, it's a free activity to do. Essentially, it's just a big cement pad with like some kids' toys and sprays water all day long. This one is a little more tricky because it can get really busy, at least in our town. So you have to pick like a weekday and in the morning to hopefully get like a good spot. And they do have things usually around there to tempt you, like ice cream, snow cones, and things like that. So just prep your kids before you go, not to beg you for the snow cones that are parked right next to the splash pad. But this is one where you can combine a few things. Some of them have parks next to them. You can bring a picnic lunch and make like a day of it, invite some friends. I feel like my kids will have many memories growing up of playing at the splash pad. The next one that we are planning on doing is camping in our backyard or camping in a free site. There is a website, I think it's called freecampsite.com or something close to that. You might have to Google it, where it will list out free campsites. They're usually dry campsites. There's no like water hookups or anything like that. But there are free places to camp or camping in your backyard. And the only way that this becomes an inexpensive activity is if you already have the stuff to camp. If you have to go out and buy tents and sleeping bags, then it's not a free activity anymore. But like, yeah, setting up something in the backyard, and then you compare it with my next one, which is stargazing or looking for shooting stars. So to kids, that's so fun to sleep in a little tent with mom and dad, to tell stories, maybe even have a campfire, and to watch the stars. It's magical for them. This next one is a pretty simple one, but it's schedule backyard play dates with friends. And it's really easy because you just get a couple friends and then you can go play in one of their backyards with them. And one, it's like a friend play date, so they get to play with other kids. Two, they get to play with things that they don't have at home, which makes it way more exciting. New bikes, toys, swings, slides, whatever, you know, your friends have in their backyard. And it's just changing it up from being in their own backyard every day. And if you decide to like rotate it among friends and invite your friends over to your yard, your kids will typically be outside playing for hours with their friends. And it makes it more exciting when their friends are excited about the stuff in their backyard. Next up, I have walking farmers markets. We have like 4 in town, so I think we're just gonna try to do 2 of them. But just walking and seeing all the different vendors and the people. And I also set aside some of my grocery budget so I can spend money at these places and support local farmers and their fresh produce. Now, this one is specific to each individual town, but to check your local town, check for local events that are free. We have sometimes free movies at the park, free concerts. There's tons of kids activities typically during the summer that are outdoor and that are free. Smaller towns, this may be a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure they still have free activities to do as a community during the summertime. And then the last on our list is swimming. And we have some friends and one of our neighbors has a pool. So we typically get invited to go swimming at least once a summer. So that will be on our bucket list, is going swimming. And it might even be, we also have like rivers and lakes, and when you go camping and all that, there's bodies of water. So just swimming at any of those places. So that was my main list. And now I have 2 that are mostly free, but could cost a little bit of money. My last 2 items on my list are items that are mostly free. The first one is going to a U-Pick farm. Like I said about the farmer's market, I do the same thing with U-Pick farms. I set aside a little bit of my grocery budget that I would spend on specific produce, and I just use that money at the U-Pick farms. So we pick strawberries, blueberries, pumpkins, peaches, nectarines, sometimes apples during the summer and the fall. And yeah, I'll just set aside a little bit of my grocery budget and I will just pay for the fresh local produce and support the small farmers that have these U-Pick farms. The kids love it. They love seeing where their fruits and vegetables come from, and they have fun trying to find the ripe fruits and picking them and hanging out as a family and creating memories. And the last one is a day trip to like a state park or a national park. And this one can cost some money for parking unless you have like one of the national park passes or state passes or whatever you need. But you can typically pack your own lunches and snacks and just make a fun day activity. So that's pretty much it of what we're gonna put on our summer bucket list. I would love to hear down below if you guys have any other ideas of free activities to do that maybe I missed. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.